Welcome back to the channel, coin lovers. Today we're uncovering the rare and most valuable 20-cent coins from Australia. These coins may look ordinary in your change, but some years and varieties have become highly sought after, selling for big dollar values in today's action-packed collector market. Let's get started. First up, the year 1968 marked just the second year of Australia's decimal coinage system, introduced in 1966. The 20-cent coin, alongside the other denominations, was created to replace the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. By 1968, Australians were still adjusting to this modernized currency, and the 20-cent coin quickly became one of the most useful denominations in circulation. Holding a coin from this year is like holding a piece of the nation's transitional financial history. The obverse of the 1968 coin features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait, one of the most elegant to ever appear on Australian coins, depicts the Queen wearing a tiara and facing right, with the inscription Elizabeth II Australia 1968 surrounding the design. It is a regal and classic image that instantly connects collectors to an era when the monarchy had a strong symbolic presence in Australia's everyday life. The reverse design is nothing short of iconic. Created by master engraver Stuart Devlin, the reverse depicts a platypus gracefully swimming through the water. The intricate wave lines around the platypus give the illusion of movement, making the design one of the most dynamic and artistic in Australian coinage. Alongside the platypus is the denomination 20, bold and clear, ensuring instant recognition. This design has endured for decades, cementing its place as a classic of modern numismatic artistry. In terms of specifications, the 1968 20-cent coin was struck in a copper-nickel alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a bright silver tone with excellent durability. It weighs 11.31 grams, has a diameter of 28.52 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.5 millimeters. These dimensions make it one of the larger coins in the decimal series, which is why it stood out in the pockets of everyday Australians. Now, when we look at the mintage figures, 1968 was an interesting year. Unlike other decimal issues that were struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, a large number of 20-cent coins for 1968 were actually produced overseas at the Royal Mint in London to meet demand. This makes them particularly significant, as it ties the coin to not only Australian monetary history, but also to Britain's minting legacy. In very fine condition, the 1968 20-cent coin holds far more value than its face. A coin graded very fine means that while it has seen circulation, most of its details remain sharp, the Queen's portrait is still well-defined, and the platypus design retains much of its depth and texture. Collectors actively seek coins in this condition, as they strike the perfect balance between affordability and desirability. The current market value of a circulated 1968 20-cent coin may be close to face value, but in very fine condition, it can fetch between $5 and $15 depending on the sharpness of details and eye appeal. Coins in extremely fine or uncirculated condition are far more valuable, often selling in the range of $30 to $100, with proof examples or rare varieties fetching hundreds of dollars. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1968 20-cent coin is the possibility of errors and varieties. Some examples are known with striking errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, or die cracks, which dramatically increase their value. A dramatic error coin could sell for hundreds of dollars in auctions, making a simple 20-cent piece an unexpected windfall for the lucky finder. The collector demand for this coin remains strong because it belongs to the early decimal period, which is highly popular among both Australian and international numismatists. Completing a set of early 20-cent coins is almost impossible without including the 1968 issue, ensuring that demand will always exist. This consistent interest is what sustains and even increases its value over time. International buyers also play a role in boosting its worth. Collectors from around the globe, particularly those interested in Commonwealth coinage, admire the platypus design and the fact that the 1968 issue connects both Australian and British minting. This crossover appeal adds an extra layer of desirability to the coin. From an investment perspective, The 1968 20-cent coin can be a stepping stone into the world of numismatics. Though not excessively rare in lower grades, coins in high condition or with minting errors represent excellent long-term investments. As decades pass, fewer coins remain in pristine condition, driving up their scarcity and value. The emotional appeal of this coin cannot be ignored either. For many Australians, it brings memories of the late 1960s, a time of cultural change and modernization. Holding a 1968 20-cent coin is like holding a time capsule, a direct connection to the early years of decimal currency, when everything from bus tickets to groceries was newly priced in cents instead of shillings. The 1968 Australian 20-cent coin is more than just a piece of base metal. It is a work of art by Stuart Devlin, a symbol of Australia's transition to a modern monetary system, and a highly desirable item for collectors around the world. In very fine condition, it already carries a premium over its face value, and in top condition or with rare minting errors, it could be worth hundreds, even thousands. Yes, a simple coin like this could indeed be your ticket to unexpected fortune. So, the next time you come across an old 20-cent piece from 1968, don't dismiss it as pocket change. It may just be the coin that unlocks hidden value and takes you one step closer to becoming a millionaire through the fascinating world of coin collecting. Next up, the 1978 Australian 20-cent coin may appear to be just another piece of silver-toned change that once passed through countless hands in supermarkets, petrol stations, and lunch counters. But beneath it circulated where lies a story worth exploring. Every scratch, every mark, and every faded detail on this coin represents part of Australia's economic journey during the late 1970s, a time of change, growth, and national identity. The obverse of the coin proudly displays the elegant effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait, with the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, had become a familiar sight to Australians during the decimal transition years. Encircled by the inscription, Elizabeth II Australia 1978, this side of the coin connects directly to the monarchy's role within the Commonwealth, while serving as a timeless reminder of its circulation era. Turning to the reverse, we find one of the most iconic designs in Australian numismatics, the platypus. Created by celebrated designer Stuart Devlin, this unique aquatic creature is shown gliding effortlessly through stylized water ripples. The beauty of Devlin's design lies in its movement. The platypus appears alive, forever swimming in nickel and copper, capturing both the natural uniqueness of Australia's wildlife and the artistry of coin engraving. As for its technical specifications, the 1978 20-cent coin was struck in copper-nickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It has a weight of 11.31 grams, a diameter of 28.52 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.5 millimeters, making it one of the largest and heaviest coins in regular circulation. These specifications ensured durability for decades of use, which is why many coins from 1978, even in circulated condition, are still found today. The mintage of the 1978 20-cent coin was significant, with tens of millions produced at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra. This high mintage means that while it is not extremely rare, its desirability comes from condition, error varieties, and the fact that collectors of Australian decimal coins need it to complete their sets. Every year of issue plays a role in building a full collection, and 1978 is no exception. When discussing the value of circulated coins, it's important to note that the majority of 1978 20-cent pieces remain close to face value. However, in better circulated or very fine condition, these coins begin to fetch small premiums, generally in the range of $2 to $5 AD. Coins in extremely fine or uncirculated condition can command values from $20 to $60 Australian dollars, and proof strikes or coins discovered with mint errors can sell for significantly higher amounts. One of the most thrilling aspects of collecting this coin is the possibility of error coins. Off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, and broad strikes are highly sought after by collectors. A dramatic error on a 1978 20-cent coin can transform what appears to be a common piece into a numismatic treasure worth hundreds of dollars in auctions. This is why examining even a circulated coin carefully is so important. You never know what you might have. In circulated condition, the coin tells its own unique story. Each scratch is a reminder that this coin once lived in everyday Australian life. It might have bought a bus ticket, a newspaper, or perhaps even a school lunch back in the late 1970s. This lived history makes even a worn 1978 coin a fascinating collector's piece for those who value not just monetary worth, but the stories that coins silently hold. The collector demand for the 1978 20-cent coin is steady and enduring. As part of the early decimal series, it appeals not only to Australian collectors, but also to international buyers who admire Commonwealth coinage. Completing a decimal set from 1966 onward requires the 1978 issue, which ensures it will always hold a place of demand within the hobby. Another factor that adds to its appeal is historical context. The late 1970s were years of significant change in Australia, both economically and culturally. Inflation, shifts in global trade, and changes in daily living costs shaped the value of every coin in circulation. The 20-cent coin was a workhorse of the economy, and owning a 1978 example today is like carrying a relic from a period of transformation. For investors and collectors alike, the 1978 20-cent coin represents a low-risk but rewarding piece of numismatic history. While it may not make headlines as a million-dollar rarity in circulated condition, higher-grade coins and error examples certainly have the potential to surprise in auctions. The increasing global demand for collectible decimal coins ensures that values continue to climb steadily year after year. From a design perspective, the 1978 issue reinforces the enduring genius of Stuart Devlin. The platypus design has stood the test of time, remaining in circulation for decades without losing its artistic appeal. For this reason alone, collectors treasure coins from this period, seeing them not just as money, but as miniature works of art that celebrate Australia's natural beauty. In conclusion, the 1978 Australian 20-cent coin may be common in circulated condition, but its story, design, and hidden potential make it anything but ordinary. From its regal obverse to its iconic reverse, from its place in everyday life to its role in numismatic collections, this coin has a value that goes beyond face value. For some, it may be worth only cents, but for the collector who discovers an error, a high-grade specimen, or simply treasures the history it represents, it could indeed be worth far more, perhaps even the start of a journey toward a numismatic fortune. So, the next time you come across a 1978 20-cent coin, don't overlook it. It may just be the humble piece of change that connects you to history, to artistry, and to the world of coin collecting that can, one day, make you a millionaire. Next up, the 1980 Australian 20-cent coin is one of those pieces that many people overlook, often tossed into change jars or left forgotten in drawers. Yet for collectors, it represents an important link in the story of Australia's decimal coinage. Even in rusty, circulated condition, it remains a fascinating coin with hidden value and lasting demand. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the world-renowned sculptor Arnold Machin. This effigy, featuring the Queen wearing the elegant girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, had been in use on Australian coinage since 1966 and remained in place until 1984. Around her image are the words Elizabeth II Australia 1980, marking both the nation and the year of issue. The reverse is where this coin truly comes alive. Designed by Stuart Devlin, the master engraver behind many of Australia's decimal coin reverses, the coin proudly displays the platypus. This unique Australian animal is captured mid-motion, gliding through stylized water ripples. Devlin's genius lay in creating a design that was both natural and dynamic, giving the impression that the platypus is forever swimming across the surface of the coin. In terms of specifications, the 1980 Australian 20-cent coin was struck in a durable copper-nickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 11.31 grams, has a diameter of 28.52 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.5 millimeters. With its large size and heavy feel, it became one of the most recognizable coins in circulation, used in everyday transactions for decades. The Royal Australian Mint in Canberra produced a large mintage of the 1980 20-cent coin, meaning millions entered circulation. Because of this high mintage, the coin in average circulated or rusty condition does not hold immense rarity. However, its age, history, and role in completing a decimal collection ensure that it will always be sought after by collectors. When it comes to value in circulated condition, most 1980 20-cent coins are close to their face value, often trading for around $1 to $2 AUD. In very fine condition, they can bring slightly higher premiums, while examples in extremely fine to uncirculated condition may be valued from $15 to $50 AUD. But the real treasures are the error coins, which can be worth hundreds of dollars depending on rarity and condition. Collectors often keep an eye out for striking errors, such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, or double strikes. These errors make ordinary circulation coins extraordinary, turning a piece worth cents into one valued at hundreds. A dramatic error on a 1980 20-cent coin could easily command impressive prices at auctions or from eager private buyers. Although this particular coin is being described in rusty, circulated condition, even that has a kind of charm. It tells a story of decades in circulation, passing through countless hands, purchases, and transactions. Each mark and blemish on the surface is part of its unique history, making it not only money but also a small artifact of everyday Australian life from the 1980s. The collector demand for the 1980 20-cent coin is steady and strong. While it may not be a standout rarity, its place within the early decades of decimal coinage ensures that it is needed by collectors building complete year sets. International collectors also prize it as part of the Commonwealth series, further supporting its long-term demand. What makes the 1980 issue even more engaging is the historical backdrop of its release. The late 1970s and early 1980s were a period of economic challenge and transformation in Australia. Inflation was rising, consumer habits were changing, and the 20-cent coin was an important denomination in daily life. Owning one today is like holding a piece of that era, a token of a time when every coin held greater purchasing power. For those seeking investment opportunities, the 1980 20-cent coin is not a million-dollar rarity by itself in rusty or circulated form, but as with all numismatic pieces, condition and scarcity drive value. Uncirculated coins, proof issues, and mint errors are the true gems, capable of multiplying in value as collector demand continues to rise. Even ordinary circulated examples can gain in value over the long term as they gradually disappear from circulation. One of the great attractions of this coin is its design longevity. The platypus reverse by Stuart Devlin has been in use for decades and continues to be a collector favorite. Its combination of simplicity, motion, and uniquely Australian character makes the 20-cent coin one of the most recognizable and cherished in the entire decimal system. In conclusion, the 1980 Australian 20-cent coin may not appear remarkable at first glance, especially in rusty circulated condition, but its story, design, and role in the nation's history make it a valuable addition to any collection. With careful examination, you might discover that your everyday coin is worth far more than expected, especially if it's an error coin or a high-grade survivor. And for collectors building full decimal sets, it is an essential piece that will never lose demand. The next time you come across a 1980 20-cent coin, don't dismiss it as just pocket change. It could be the very coin that introduces you to the fascinating world of numismatics, a world where even the most ordinary coins can turn into treasures, and where your next discovery could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Next up, the 1977 Australian 20-cent coin is one of those fascinating pieces of decimal currency that many people overlook, often seeing it as nothing more than pocket change. But for numismatists and sharp-eyed collectors, this coin represents not only history but also potential value. Even in rusty, circulated condition, the 1977 20-cent piece has a story that can spark excitement for those who understand its significance. The obverse of the coin features the familiar and regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the celebrated sculptor Arnold Machin. This portrait shows the Queen wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, an image that became iconic during the early decades of Australia's decimal coinage. The inscription, Elizabeth II Australia 1977, circles the design, proudly marking both the monarch and the year of issue. On the reverse, we see one of the most beloved and recognizable designs in Australian coinage history. Created by Stuart Devlin, Australia's official goldsmith and coin designer, the image depicts the platypus swimming through stylized water ripples. It's a design that perfectly captures the spirit of Australian wildlife. Unique, graceful, and truly distinctive. The platypus became synonymous with the 20-cent coin, making it one of the most collected and admired reverses in the decimal series. In terms of specifications, the 1977 20-cent coin is struck from copper-nickel alloy, made up of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 11.31 grams, has a diameter of 28.52 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.5 millimeters. With its milled edge and bold size, it stood out in circulation, often used for larger purchases during the 1970s. The Royal Australian Mint produced millions of these coins in 1977, ensuring their presence in everyday life across the country. Because of the high mintage, most 1977 20-cent coins are not rare in themselves. However, as decades passed, high-grade examples became scarcer, and error coins from this year turned into treasures that collectors actively hunt for. When we talk about value, the condition of the coin plays the biggest role. A 1977 20-cent coin in rusty, heavily circulated condition will usually only hold minimal collector value, often just above face value. However, coins in very fine to uncirculated condition can attract collectors who are looking to complete their decimal year sets, with prices ranging anywhere from $5 to $30 depending on grade. The real excitement comes from error coins. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets from 1977 are extremely desirable and can fetch hundreds of dollars, sometimes even more depending on the severity of the error and the demand at auction. A dramatic misstrike can transform a simple coin into a piece worth several $100s, capturing the imagination of both seasoned and beginner collectors. Even in its rusty state, a 1977 coin tells a story. Think about how many hands it must have passed through in the last 4 decades. From shops in suburban Australia to vending machines, to being tucked away in drawers and piggy banks, each mark and imperfection is part of its personal history. That character alone adds to its sentimental value and interest. The collector demand for the 1977 20-cent coin remains steady. Decimal collectors need it for their year sets, while international collectors often prize it as part of the broader Commonwealth coinage. Over time, as more and more coins are removed from circulation, even rusty examples will grow in scarcity, further enhancing long-term demand. Historically, the 1970s marked a time of economic and cultural transition in Australia. The 20-cent coin was an important denomination, representing real spending power in everyday life. Holding onto a coin from 1977 is like holding a small piece of that era, a reminder of the shops, goods, and daily experiences of Australians more than 4 decades ago. For those wondering if this coin could make you a millionaire, the honest answer is that the 1977 20-cent in rusty circulated condition will not achieve that on its own. However, the value lies in discovering rare variants, high-grade uncirculated examples, or spectacular mint errors. These are the pieces that can truly skyrocket in price, with collectors willing to pay top dollar for a chance to own something so unique. Investment-wise, the 1977 20-cent coin is a steady, long-term collectible. It may not have the explosive value of certain rarities, but it continues to grow in appreciation as coins from the 1970s become harder to find in top condition. Savvy collectors know that building complete sets, especially with well-preserved coins, is where real value lies in the long run. In conclusion, the 1977 Australian 20-cent coin is far more than just change in your pocket. With its striking platypus design, its history is part of Australia's growing decimal system, and its potential for error rarities, this coin deserves respect and admiration. Whether rusty, circulated, or sparkling uncirculated, it holds a place in the hearts of collectors, and for the right person, it could even be the start of a numismatic journey that leads to truly life-changing discoveries. So, the next time you come across a 1977 20-cent coin, don't underestimate it. Look closely, study its details, and you may just be holding a tiny treasure of Australian history. one that proves even the humblest of coins can unlock stories, value, and excitement far greater than their face suggests.